Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Touch My Music podcast with me, Kiana, and my co host, Chardonnay.
Hi.
As you can tell, it's another Thursday episode because I'm making the
Yes.
intro. And today we've got something a little different, a little special or whatever. We have a guest
Yes.
who is one of my childhood friends, actually, from
Awesome.
Namibia.
Yeah.
Talented hip hop artist
Ooh.
who goes by the name of Wiser Observer. So
Yes.
we'll bring him on in a few so that he can formally introduce himself to you
Yes.
guys. So we're just going to have a chat with him about his music and just all things music in general. Just have a fun little chit chat, ask him some questions because we're nosy, and go from there.
Yes.
We're back with Tuma, aka Wiser Observer, on the line, on the
Yes.
Zoom line.
They're about to say on the beat.
No, man, on the Zoom line. Welcome, Tuma.
Yes, welcome.
We welcomed you right into chaos there, but welcome.
Thank you very much. I just want to take this opportunity to sell you guys on Herbalife. It's a multi-level marketing company.
All right, so first things first, we
Yes.
need the listeners to know who you are. Please introduce yourself to the podcast.
All right. I'm Tuma. My artist name is Wiser Observer. I've known Kiana a long time. Chardonnay I'm meeting for the first time.
Right.
But this I'm a musician, producer, audio engineer. I guess like in these kind of times you have to be many things all the time. It's not the same as back in the days. I don't know what back in the days I'm referring to.
And look at me.
Chardonnay's like word. So I have a question that I've actually been like super curious about for the longest time, and I don't know, I just never asked you. I just never asked you for whatever reason. Why is your artist name Wiser Observer? Like, what does it mean? Why that?
I wish there was a dope story behind it. So I actually, in high school, I used to go by Cavity 13.
I remember.
And you do?
Yes.
Wild. And then like in 2013, after high school, I was like, okay, I want to take this music thing seriously, and I wanted to change the name. And then I'd heard about how Childish Gambino got his name through that Wu-Tang Clan generator. And so I tried it, and then I got Drunken Observer. And I was like, yeah, I don't wanna be Drunken Observer. That's a bit much. It's a long time to have drunkenness associated with.
Yeah.
So I changed it to Wiser, and I was like, yeah, I like that name. And then people ask me like, why Wiser? And then I'm like, what is the joke? They can claim they're the wisest, but I'll always be wiser. And I was like, oh shit, that's deep. That's dope.
That's so.
Can I cuss on here?
Yes, of course.
It's too late now. Oh, all right.
No,
you can.
Okay.
I cuss weekly. You were saying you started your music journey in 2013, right? Right. What made that switch for you? Because like I remember you used to be really into art. Like you used to draw comic books all the time.
Yeah.
Which is why I remember that Cavity was your nickname in high school, because of the comic books you used to draw. So what made that switch from like drawing art to making music as a form of art?
Well, first of all, man, your memory is deep.
Yes, I remember everything.
Comic books, my word. The switch came from because I didn't know what to do after high school. And so I was like, okay, in the meantime, while I'm trying to think what I want to do, I was like, let me just take this music stuff a little more seriously. And then that whole year of 2013, like I was really excited about it. So I was like, let me just keep pursuing it. And I started looking for degrees related to it. So I don't think it was a really conscious decision. I just like, all right, what now? And then I was like, that's what I'm gonna try and do.
I mean, Fair enough. That's
Yeah,
how
yeah.
I got to where I got to too. I was just like, I should do something. Remember
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
And
like,
just be out here.
yeah. It's that thing of everybody says you should go to college, so you just go.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to follow up with something that you said earlier. So you said that you do almost everything. So you produce as well,
Yes.
and then you record and mix and master all your own music as well.
It's very
So
exhausting.
I was just gonna say, tell me about that. Tell me about that, because I know mixing and mastering could be very exhausting, but also like the
Mm,
producing part, like to come up like with ideas and sounds and how you would want a specific
mm.
beat to sound like. Tell me a little bit about that process, your creative process.
Well, ideas are a lot more fun
Okay.
because when you stumble on ideas, then you, in that moment, it's great. But I'm trying to make it work. That's where it's a bit emotionally taxing, and you're like, all right, is this a good idea anymore? I don't. And I think like if I had it my way, I think definitely I'd delegate all of those stuff. I remember in university, my friend Raymond, MRI Mantra, shout out. I don't know if you're listening to this, but yeah, so what usually how we'd work on music is I just build the like the foundation of it, just enough for me to so I can write to it. And then he would do the rest of the producing, make it sound nicer. And so he was there, like he could do the mixing and mastering as well. So that I preferred because then he could drive himself insane over that, and then I can just go and chill because mixing and mastering is just
Yeah.
at some point you're not.
Stuff.
Oh, I know what it's like for me. Like at some point you're not even sure what you're listening to anymore, and you're
Yeah.
trying to see the frequencies that you're hearing, and it's just like it's insane. And then finally you release it, and then like a week down the line you're like, oh, there's something else I missed out, and that's not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
I can
I was
imagine.
I was gonna ask as well, like you said you write your own music. Like, do you encounter creative blocks often, or
Yeah, definitely. But I've learned to just write now because it's again, it comes to that idea thing. You can't really make ideas that you find dope. You just each day you try something, and then sometimes you stumble on something that's really fucking dope, and you're like, all right, this is awesome. But I have a lot of rubbish songs in my laptop. Like
Yeah.
you just have to write, and then then along the line, like I know for this year, for the songs I'm working on for next year, there's some old stuff I looked at and I was like, hey, that's actually pretty dope. And so the fact that I just wrote that day and just have it, I think that's a lot of people say this. You just have to do it, and then like you you practice it basically, and
yeah,
then you stumble on something great, and then that's what you release, and that's what you work on. That's how I do it anyway.
yeah, yeah.
Nice. And then i.e. songwriting. Do you write
Mm.
like full song sentences or just like ideas or all of the above?
Now it's full songs.
In one
I
go.
try to in one go. I try to finish
Wow.
at least one song a day.
Nice.
Before, but I started off with first just a verse a day or just a hook a day. So this has been over the course of years. So I didn't out the gate writing a
Yeah.
full song every day. Yeah. And then also like the way I do it, I just write to a certain point. So I'll do a couple of months, I'll write the song every day. And then the next couple of months, I'll pick the ones that I like and then work on those. And then you can rummage through the lines and see which ones you can replace. So for me, I find that better. Like the way I metaphorically see it is that like how artists paint, you start with like big broad strokes, and then you can start bringing down like the details of shading. You focus on the eye on the jump. That's yeah, you're bound for failure like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your music, can you describe your music for me a bit? What would you say your style of music is like when you create?
Ooh, I think self-reflection is the best description I can give my music. Those are the ones I tend to write the most. It's songs that I'm trying to either describe what I'm feeling in terms of like criticizing myself, or it would be in the form of like first person talking to either myself or talking to somebody else. So I think self-reflection is the best way I can put it. I think those are a lot more that come naturally. It's the more like melancholy and looking inwards.
Do you think like from when you started to now that your style has evolved and changed? Like, has it always been self-reflection type?
Yeah, I think so. Last year I tried to do a bit more popish music. But those are a bit more, I was trying to make songs that were a bit more marketable. Which, not to say that I don't like doing, but I've even heard this from friends. They've said before, like the best ones they usually like for me are the ones where I'm like sad and like.
No, that tends to be the case.
I like it when you're sad too, man. That's when you're best songs.
No, but that tends to be the case, isn't it? Everybody's always excited for Adele's next heartbreak so she can release an album. And I'm like, yo, guys, can Adele live?
Listen, let you be happy, at least, right?
Oh, goddamn.
So that evolution, I think the content, I don't think it's evolved significantly, but I'll definitely say my sonic scope and the way I build songs has definitely evolved. And I do like it. It's a lot more, I'm more proficient now. Whereas before, like I couldn't, if I hit a wall, I'd give up and not look at it for like weeks. Whereas now I can work on it daily instead of just like giving up on it until I happen to find it again. So yeah, definitely. And I've seen that growth more because I've only really started writing I've tried to write a song every day. I've only really started that like end of 2020. Before that, it was so that growth between 2020 until now, I think it's definitely because I write more often. It forces your brain to be more creative, I think.
Of course. Yeah. Just to have that outlet, that daily outlet. It probably 100%. Feels good too in terms of accomplishments.
100%. Yeah.
Must be so 100%. Satisfying.
Because after you know it's done and it's there, it's a lot more than trying to what's the word I'm looking for? And you're obsessed about trying to make that one song work over a course of I don't know how many days, and then like that expectation just keeps getting worse and worse because now you're like, all right, is this chorus good enough? And you're like, okay, now is it the perfect word? And now you keep getting more tunnel vision, and like, whereas if it's just done, then you can focus on the new thing.
Yeah. And like you were saying, like a lot of persons was like, oh, I like when you make the little sad songs or whatever. Do you find like a lot of persons can relate to the stuff that you're saying in your songs, in your music? Like what is the feedback from that?
I mean, just because they're more honest. I think that's what it is. I don't think it's necessarily how the songs are necessarily built. I think it's just more honest. And I think most people can relate to honesty. Yeah. Even if like don't understand what that person is going through, you can feel either their pain or their joy. And you're like, oh, I've felt those feelings.
Yeah.
Then you can be like, all right. Yeah. So I think that's what it is.
It's the sincerity.
Yeah. Sincerity.
Why did you say it like that?
I don't know.
You're in Namibia.
I am.
You're in Namibia. Yeah. And I know I interviewed you already for my thesis about like the Namibian industry kind of. Okay, so from what I researched and what I gathered from talking to people is that it's not an easy one to navigate because of the way it's set up, right? How do you find it? Because I remember, I think it was before you went to Cape Town for your studies. You used to do a lot of the open mic and stuff at the warehouse and whatnot. And like, obviously now with COVID, made performances and all that much harder. But at the time, how did it feel? Like the industry itself, the space, the vibes, were people out there actively supporting, or do you think it's not really the place for these things?
Sorry, it just sounded like a parent. It's not the place for these things.
Sometimes. Listen, I'm nearing 30. I've got adult vocab.
I think there is a community here that support the arts. I think there are people who actively try and do that, but Namibia is small. Yeah. So like any community already has, so like there has to be a group of people who even go out to anything that's art or entertainment related. And then out of that, you have to find a group that goes out to live music events. Then out of that group, a certain genre. So once you start bringing that all down, you start falling into numbers into hundreds.
Yeah.
And that's not a huge group of people to work with. But there is definitely support behind these kind of things. I try and do that. There was a film, like a short film thing that happened, I think Tuesday. Man, I'm current. But even those things, like I think there were only 50 of us there. So these kind of things, it's a very small group.
Yeah.
And from what the musicians that I know, they have to supplement their income. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm smart. They have to do other stuff like voiceover work, and I know of Lioness, she's also a doctor. So like you have to do these other things outside of just that. But I guess that's everywhere, I figure. And then also depends what age you are. I mean, like in 2013, I was like living with my mom, and like, so I didn't mind going to like performing at open mics for free.
Yeah.
But I mean, like now, like I've got like food to buy and internet to pay for.
Yeah.
So like so your goals become different, and there's certain things you want to do, but I mean, like you either do them knowing they're not going to bring you in money, or you hope they bring you, or you find something that brings you money, or you find some other like kind of reward of like maybe collaboration or marketing. Yeah. So it really depends. I think that support is there. It's just you as an artist, you should navigate that knowing that we're not a lot.
Yeah. So it's like a limited space, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
I haven't been back home in a while, so I wouldn't know these things currently in terms of like radio and stuff. But is radio in Namibia, do they spin local artists often, or is it more Western and South African, obviously, because I know that there's also a lot of South African music that circulates. But is it one of the places where Namibian artists can be like, okay, cool, radio's got me, like local radio stations?
From what I know, I don't have the actual data to back this, but I know that the bigger stations, they tend to play music that's popular on a Western scale, because you're more likely to draw in listeners that way. And those kind of radio stations they're big businesses who pay for the ads on those radio stations, which keeps them alive. So I don't think, personally, I don't even try and navigate that avenue of trying to get my song on the radio. It doesn't seem worthwhile to me. But I don't think you're bringing in a lot of listeners to your music if a radio station plays your song. Most people have the aux cord in their car or Bluetooth, and And like you're gonna have to tell your audience like, hey, my song is coming on at this specific time. And so like I maybe there's some artists out there. Like I remember years ago there was this rapper. He was telling me that they pay I think $5 every time they play your track on the radio. Now in comparison to streaming services, that's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
But also like they're only gonna play a song once a day. Like that's how they work. So it's not gonna. I don't know, maybe for the exposure. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It doesn't seem worthwhile to me.
I was gonna ask, seeing that you were talking about like radio and like putting your songs on the radio and like the struggle, I was gonna ask like, what are some problems or issues that you face being a musician?
Yeah, how long you got? So do you mean me personally or things that I see generally for musicians?
Yeah, essentially you can give me both aspects, your experience and what you've seen from others.
Okay. For me on a personal level, I think what's happened now, and which I wish I'd seen sooner, is the saturation of the amount of artists and the amount of music that's being uploaded constantly. I think, I can honestly say I've only really become disciplined in 2020. Like starting 2013, like the intent of pursuing it was there, but there was no structure and I had no goals. So I had no real steps going anywhere. So looking back, there was a lot of times where like my songs the plays were doing a lot better. And also back then, the AdWords, the adverts that you could run on Facebook, they were much cheaper. Yeah. Much cheaper. And I wish I'd taken advantage of that more. But also back then, I wasn't looking into like this kind of stuff of like this input data and all that kind of stuff. So I think definitely the amount of saturation and even ads now, like it's getting much for a lot of people. Yeah. So the barrier of entry is much lower, which is great. But also that means there's a lot of riffraff that's also coming in, and there's nobody to manage that. And like someone who's looking for music, they're gonna get overwhelmed. Like, this is too much. I'm just gonna listen to what I've always been listening to. This is
I see that more and more.
100%. And the older you get, that the worse it just becomes. You're not trying to find your new favorite artist. Like once you start getting older, you already have them, so and you're usually just gonna keep listening to them. So that attention span is something that's very difficult to grasp. So I guess you kind of just, I think also you have to put out a lot more content now. Content that both is engaging and also somehow has to like funnel them to, for me example, funnel them to your music. Like that is, and then you have to do that daily. So you have to plan all of this stuff now. So like now I first have to do the music, get it mixed and mastered, and then I can be like, all right, let's plan the content out, and then you have to edit that, and then you can schedule those, because if you try and do that per day, you're also gonna go crazy. So like there's so much admin all the time around.
It becomes a full-time job. 24/7, 365.
100%. And I guess that's the game now. Like you can't just put out your music and then expect people to just magically stumble upon. Some people do, and great for them, but like that's not a great strategy anymore. And
I feel like with not to cut you off, I feel like with social media now and digital marketing in play, like it changes so much things, because the way how people would discover music back then is not the same way that they would discover it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And have it like an entire page curated with your content. It kind of lures them in. It's like a new discovery. Let me see what is going on here, you know?
Yeah.
So, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's almost like you have to not almost like you have to pre-make the content so that in any moment, if somebody can discover you, there has to be a bunch of shit that they can look into already.
Absolutely.
Which it's yeah, it's what you said. It's much.
Yeah.
It's
And
a lot.
also like it's a lot of, the returns are much smaller because you're doing all this
Mm-hmm.
effort,
Oh,
and
definitely.
it's like you get a certain amount of views on your, let's say your IG reel, and then there's only a certain number of those people who will actually go to your account, and a
Mm-hmm.
smaller number of those will actually go to that link, whatever you have there, to listen to the song,
Yeah.
and even a smaller number of those who listen to the full song. So like
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just
yes.
down the funnel, it just keeps
Funnel.
getting smaller
Yep.
and smaller. It's a wild time. It's
Mm-hmm.
a wild
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yeah, no, it's not easy in the creative industries. So I think
Mm-hmm.
even when you're in audio based markets, you have to have a visual that's gonna accompany it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
people just want to look at things now.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's true.
and
That's
that's
how
People
you
a
just
want
good
to
want to
point.
see
look at
things.
stuff. Yeah.
It's a good point you made because Nicki Minaj just released new music with upcoming artists. Well, she's not really upcoming, but I don't. Anyways, Nicki Minaj just released a song, and I noticed that artists just don't release songs with like a visual, like they usually release it. Okay, some still do, which is
Yeah.
like, but I mean, most of the time they release a song with a lyric video where
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
yeah,
graphics all over and then the words popping up. Like it's visually appealing and interesting to look at
absolutely.
and listen to at the same time. So yeah, most definitely, most definitely. When I saw visualizers coming up, I'm like, what the hell is a visualizer?
Yeah,
And then
Yeah.
when I click on it, I'm like, oh, okay, it's just like a vibe to
Yeah, it's
kind of like,
the mood
yeah,
setter
it's
for
to
the
kind of
song
like,
or album.
yeah, to tell me like what is going on with the song, cause like, and I was like, it makes sense, visualizer, and I'm visualizing what the song would look like, you know? So I'm like, okay, I would watch lyric videos if I know that the artist is not gonna release a music video because I'm like, give me something. Because I mean,
oh,
I just can't watch
interesting.
the picture, you know what I mean? Like,
And I think is even now because I'm trying to do this thing where I release every 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to build content around that is also just becoming ridiculous. So now
yeah.
to a point now, I started thinking about that visual thing a lot because now if I would rather than release once a month
Mm-hmm.
and then have different kinds of visual content that I can
Yeah.
release each week for that one song than trying to do one for every 2 weeks because
Mm-hmm.
it's so much work you're putting in, but it's like, yo, my
Yeah.
Yeah, the
goodness,
return of
the
investment is not.
returns, my
Are
word.
Yeah.
are there any artists that you kind of look up to or that inspire you that you say, okay, or like you just analyze the way that they do things and you're like, oh, okay, maybe I can kind of take this path or
Uh, I think right now who's really impressive to me is Baby Keem.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I
Baby
think on an
Keem?
analytical level, not really. I think the furthest I do with that is just maybe the rap lyrics. Like whatever favorite song I love, I'll look at the lyrics and then look at the metaphors because that way I can see it better. I see the flow
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like anything I try to learn new, I usually find YouTubers because
Yeah.
then those videos are usually like 10 minutes and like it's condensed and you can listen to it in the background because trying to do it on your own is, I think sometimes you find great ideas, absolutely.
Yeah.
But like for me, it works better if you find these guys on YouTube and they actually say out loud what one artist is doing and then they compare it to another.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
an analysis, an analysis vibe.
Yeah, it's like a mini school, a mini class.
Yeah, man.
I do like music videos though, and I
Yeah, me
think
too.
I I I do want to reach a point where I can like hire people to make music videos. I
Mm-hmm.
think all of these kind of stuff I do to like save money,
Yeah.
but it's always better to work with somebody else who knows a lot more than you, and then that way you can have an idea and then they can make it come to life. Now you're trying to figure out what lens to use on YouTube like the day before. Like that's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
that's time you're trying to put in also, and you're just like it's not worth it. But I like, yeah, I'd love to shoot a music video where like it's story based and narrative based.
Yeah.
So, but I know like I've I've low-key accepted that
Mhm.
I shouldn't expect sustainable income from like streams.
Yeah.
So I need to find something else that will allow me to market it that way, and then not expect anything from the streams. Because I think even labels do that now. They don't, I don't know how true this is, but I read an article where like labels buy equity into the streaming platforms because they know they're not making enough returns on the actual music. So
and
like
that's the tea.
So when I heard that, I was like, if y'all are not expecting money from these streams and the artists are in the millions and billions, I am not trying to go down that avenue at all.
Yeah.
So I think what tends to happen is now like they use the amount of streams almost like a marketing. So they inflate their streams and they're like, oh, look at this artist. And you're like, wow, 10 million views. I got to check this out. So like that's where we're at now. It's crazy. It's actually really insane.
Labels pay very, very big money to get their artists on Spotify's top playlists.
Listen, the whole business model, I think, is just a problem because you're not. But I think that's coming down to the whole entertainment side of it. It's not a lot of it is set up really for breeding good music anymore. Personally, that's what I think. I mean, if you're under pressure for your album to do at least 500,000 plays within the first week, that's you're not really caring about the music now. You're thinking how to game the system, and then because that's more on your mind. And I mean, even movies are like that now. Like they have to make like what hundreds of millions of dollars like within their first week. What kind of pressure is that? How do you? That's not good incentive to make a good movie. Now you're trying to. Or rather, let me say creative movie. Let me say that. Maybe good is too subjective. You're not trying to do something different anymore because now you have all this pressure from like either your studio or executives. Like I can't imagine that kind of pressure. That does not seem
immense.
fun.
It's immense pressure. I think once you cultivate that following, you can do whatever you want. As long as you're secure in the knowledge that your fan base is a loyal one and is going to be very consistent in their support for your career, then you can do whatever you want. I completely understand that, like, and me and Charlotte were talking about this the other day, actually. I completely understand trying to navigate the music industry in a safe way where you can kind of guarantee some kind of positive outcome for yourself. But I think that once you reach a certain point, you've got to let that shit go because people start seeing right through it and they lose interest so quickly if they see that you're in this for the wrong reasons.
I like music like when it's authentic and you're dropping it because you feel at the moment it's the right time to drop it. And then when it's out, not to expect like, oh, I need these numbers, I need this amount of money. No, you just want people to listen, relate, and feel good about it, you know?
Yeah.
100%.
So, yeah.
Okay, Tuma, tell us. What are your plans for the future? So the people know what to look out for.
Well, I still haven't decided this year whether I'm releasing anything because I decided last year I was gonna release every 2 weeks. I was very consistent on it. And then my friend died in December, and then so like a lot of my emotional feelings took a very different turn, and the music that I wanted to put out I didn't like anymore, so I started from scratch. So I still might, because I'm pretty close to finishing up my recording side of it, but depends how long it's going to take now with like the TikToks and the content for YouTube. I'll maybe start releasing it in the middle of this year. It will be May or June, and then that would be back on the schedule again. But I am trying to get this new gig. I don't want to say what it is yet, but that potentially will bring me in a lot more money, and then I can pump some more, like I can upgrade like the content that I want to put out. So I'm first waiting to see on that, because that might take up the whole of the year. Then I'd rather just focus on that, and then I can start again the following year and then come in strong. But otherwise, the songs are pretty much ready. I want to figure out some features, see if there are going to be any features, and then put that all together. Because I do like releasing every so often, because I'm at that stage where like I need to be in your face all the time. Otherwise, like you forget. Not in a bad way. That's just how it is, because like there's no real investment from someone who doesn't know me.
Yeah.
So, and also kind of works like content as well. It's like, oh, this is cool. Every 2 weeks, I'm expecting something from Wiser, and it builds the followers. So like it's all intertwined. So if I can have that all ready, then I can just schedule it. Then I don't have to be stressed about, oh, this week I didn't record my last content video. Then that way I can work for next year's, the following year's songs again, and then have more stuff like that. That's the plan. And then if that thing I'm going to do, if that works out very good as well, I'm hoping next year that every 2 weeks they'll also have, each song will have a video. So then that way I have the funds for it, and like
Yeah.
But yeah, this is all contingent on a lot of things. So
no, we're gonna keep our fingers and toes crossed for your project thingy to come through. Sending the good vibes or whatever.
For sure.
Tight.
So on our Monday episodes, we do this little thing with each other where we say what our favorite songs have been that week, whether it's new releases, old releases. So I want to ask you the same thing. Are there any songs that moved you this week or that you wish to recommend to people to check out? It can be your own songs too, obviously.
The song is Too Bad by Frank Cogliano. It's like I don't even know how to describe it, an indie EDM pop punk song. I don't know. That was actually the first song in a while. It had an ad on Instagram, and I was like, why not? I've got literally nothing to lose. Yeah. So I clicked on it, and I have it on repeat until I hate it, and I love music.
Nice. I do that too.
The other song is, let me find it here. I heard it on, there's a comedian, Neil Brenner. He's the guy who worked with Dave Chappelle. The song is See the Light by a band called Electric Guest.
Nice. I haven't heard of either of them, so I'm going to check them out. I'm going to plug a Wiser Observer song.
Oh, no.
Go through.
I'm going to plug a Wiser Observer song purely because the opening line tickles my funny bone in a very satisfying way. And it's That's My Halo with the regular guy, with the regular fella. So everybody go check out.
I'm trying to remember where I heard that from. I think a friend was quoting a movie. I think that's where that line is from. Regular.
Yeah, it tickles me every time I hear it. It just like, makes me smile. And also, just That's My Halo is a whole vibe. So go check out That's My Halo by Wiser Observer.
I gotta check it out.
Yeah, do the things. The other one I wrote down is Wait a Minute. Because I enjoy it. By you, sir.
He's like, bye.
But like by Wiser, I was like, oh, Wiser. How do you spell it?
My Wiser recommendations are those two songs. That's cool. Once again, That's My Halo and Wait a Minute. Scope the things. Tuma, plug your social medias for us so that the people know where to find you.
Awesome. That's at Wiser Observer on Instagram, Wiser Observer on Facebook, and on YouTube, and on Spotify, and all your favorite streaming platforms. And I had to get on TikTok. I was fighting it. I can't run away from it. I'm on there at the Wiser Observer.
Cool.
Awesome.
Dope. Yeah. We'll also put it in the video description and the Spotify and the Anchor description.
All right. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for joining us here on the podcast
this was fun.
For some fat music chats. Come back anytime.
Yes, for sure.
We can have more debates.
Okay, Tuma, thank you for being on here. Come back again, like Kiki said, because we're gonna be here and we ain't going nowhere. That's right. Okay. And yeah, it was fun. It was definitely fun.
This was fun.
Yeah, it was definitely fun.
Thank you also for being our first guest, and also also this episode is coming out on Tuma's birthday.
Yeah,
March 24th. Everybody go wish Tuma a happy birthday on his Instagram.
Appreciate it. No, this was fun, guys. Thank you for bringing me on.
So thank you guys for listening to our podcast. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, thank you for watching and listening. And if you like this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment and share it with your friends. And if you're listening to us on Anchor and Spotify, please don't forget to follow us and rate our podcast and leave a comment if you like. Also, guys, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Don't Touch My Music Pod and follow us on TikTok at Don't Touch My Music Pod. There you can see all of our bloopers and the silly things that did not get to make it into the podcast. So, guys, thank you for watching and listening. Till next time, bye.
Bye.